kitty like a cat, and welcome to my Flosstube channel. Today I have some whips and some plans. I'm gonna be honest, this video is kind of haphazardly planned, so we're just gonna wing it. And we're gonna talk about this. So I'm just gonna hop right into whips. I had planned to do like Mira May, and okay, back it up, roll it back. Usually for the past like 5 or 6 years, I have like this spreadsheet where I track my whips, like when I start them, what fabric they're on and stuff. But then I also have another sheet on there that has like per year, for every month, there's a line for every month, and then stuff I want to work on. And I like do that at the beginning of the year, and I'll put what I want to work on different months. And I'll be honest, last year I kind of just like, I was doing that last quarter of the year, I just kind of did what I wanted. In the beginning of this year, I just wasn't feeling super inspired, like in any particular way. The 3 things I put on there were Mira March, Mira May, and Nora November. I know there's not a lot of stuff on there, so I wanted to start some market stuff in April. You know, I had some plans, and I did, but other than that, I haven't had as like clear of a roadmap this year because I just didn't want to. And I think that's good for me right now. If I did have plans, I probably wouldn't be doing them anyways. But for that reason, I do feel like my whips are kind of disjointed, and I didn't work on that many different things. But you get to see what I did work on. So this was one of my market starts. It's from Jed X Stitch. It's in a very shiny bag, so I'm gonna take it out. It's Trillium Forest, and as I said, it came out at market, and it was one of 2 things I started because these colors and just the design in general just jumped out at me. So I had started this in April, and I continued to work on it in early May. So this is kind of I think the page 1. This is like how far it goes down. It goes a little farther this way. And so I went as far down as I could on page 1. And then I'm starting that big flower in the middle, which I believe is the Trillium. The colors, honestly, okay, I feel like they do look a little different, but it might be my fabric because I am stitching it on Spicy Mustard from Fiber on a Whim, I'm pretty sure, and it's called for Old Gold from Fiber on a Whim, so mine's a little more green. But I feel like it's very much like, it's not like too drastic of a change. It's in this really cute bag. Adorable. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this one. It's fun. It's a 32 count. 2 strands, so they're nice and like plump stitches. I like that for certain designs. Gives like a nice 3D effect. So I'm really loving that. And my eyes have been like tired lately, you know, and it's been easier for me to stitch on 32 and 28 counts and to stitch in a Q-snap rather than in hand. I like stitching in hand a lot, but the tension of putting in a Q-snap, it kind of spreads the fibers apart a little and the holes are easier to see. And so this next one I also have been reaching for because of that. So this is my Mira. It's the only one that I have going. It's the only one I've ever started. It is The Sea Merchant's Wife. And when I started it in the middle, and that's about like here where my finger is. And I got down to like here. And I want to get into that tail, but before I did, I wanted to go ahead and finish like her whole, because I had started here and gone down. I wanted to finish her whole, this part of her tail. So I hopped up from where I started to here, which is the bottom of like her bodice goes that way. And I've also added a lot of beads since the last time you saw it, and all this backstitch. I've done all these tendrils, all these beads. Some beads through here, but I have a lot more beads to do there. I am beading as I go and backstitching as I go when I feel like it. Just kind of picking it up and going where I want. So my plan is that I'm going to finish that top part of her tail and then this one large fin, but these tendrils I'm going to do later when I get to like that part of her back. So one more time, because I am having a lot of fun with this one. It's really pretty. Yeah, I started that one in March. Oh, I'm gonna move Gudetama. Maybe not. Okay. So I did most of the beading and tendrils like at the beginning of the month, and then I just last week I think started the top of her tail. And these are my threads. Yeah, I'll probably keep that on my Q-snap until I get to that stopping point that I wanted to. And then I'm going to show you some plans in a second. And so like I might switch out my Q-snap once I get there. So I might actually kind of push to try to get that done like this weekend or something so that I can start these next items. But before that, I have one more whip. Yeah, one more whip. And so I hadn't pulled this out in a while, but I just, oh, there it is. I just kind of got a random, I don't know, desire to pull it out. So this is Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow from Carriage House Samplings. Right here, you can get it as a digital chart now. I like paper patterns. But if you don't, that's good news for you. I had started this last fall and I got, oh, okay. I've rearranged the blocks a little. I'm doing a 3x3 square and I'm not doing that like middle panel. And there's one other I removed. So, but this first row is actually staying the same. Everything else is different. So I started with this one and I had thought I finished it. And then, I stitch in hand, so it was like rolled up, and I had started this one and I was stitching on it and I was like, cool, like I have this one done and like maybe I'll get good progress on this one. And then I like unrolled it one day and I was not done. So let's see if I am now. I think I am. Yeah. So I haven't done the back stitch for that block because I'm going to do it like at the end so it doesn't get messed up. As you can see, like I roll it, you know. Okay, so that block is now complete other than the spider webs back stitching. And then I did I got some really good progress on this. Oh, I can't see what I'm doing. Okay. I got some really good progress on this one. So I had this tree done. And that was about it. So I'm excited. Got the grass, started this tree, started this tombstone. I did this whole graveyard over here. And then I did a little more outlining. And I had done that crow last November. And then obviously just got tired of it. So whenever I like just have some 310 on my needle or where I'm just kind of don't really want to think, I'll start one of the outlines of the boxes. But I'm not worrying about those too bad. I'm not doing them before I stitch stuff because I need landmarks or else I'm gonna count wrong. They're 93 by 93, I think, but I can't count to 93 apparently. I can count to 32 because that's how far this was from here. And I made sure it lined up, but, and these are my threads for, I'm stitching that one in hand with one strand on a 36 count. These are my threads for that one. So you can see compared to my Mira where I'm doing 2 strands, I cut them differently. And that's how I like to do it. Obviously when it goes back into when leftovers go back into the collection, you know, they're cut differently, but it's not the end of the world. If I want to stitch with 1 strand, I'll just cut one of these in half. If I want to stitch with 2, I'll just pull 2 lengths of this. But while I'm working on that primary project, it's just easier for me to do because I do the loop start when I'm doing 2. Okay. I'll take a little break and then show you my plants. Okay, while I was packing those up, I did go ahead and take Trillium Forest off of the Q-snap, and I'm probably going to put this next one I'm going to show you, which is a plan that I would like to start on it. So June's my birthday month. I usually have some birthday starts. I don't think I'm going to call these birthday starts because then I kind of like end up pigeonholing them into like working on them in June. I don't really want to do that, but they are kind of birthday starts because they're like a present to myself because I don't know, they just seem kind of special. So this is a new to me chart, but I'm showing it you in plans because it's a plan. But I found this kit on eBay and I had never seen a cross stitch from this designer before. Like it's an artist whose work was interpreted into cross stitch. I don't actually know who interpreted it into cross stitch, but then sold as a kit. I don't think there's a date on this, but if I had to like date it, I'd say like 2006. But this is the design is by Nini Thomas, who, okay, if you ever went to like metaphysical shops in the 2000s and there were those like little fairy statues, she designed those. Like she's the queen of those. And I can't tell you how. I was looking for like moon designs, but this is called Blue Moon, and so it came up and it was like an immediate purchase. So I got the kit. One of the things I just love is her wings. I love Nora Corbett's and Mirabilia's, and I love fairies. But there's like this style of wing, I don't feel like Nora Corbett really like designs very often. There's the August Peridot fairy, I think has the closest to this style wing. I don't know, there's just something like gothic about it. And I was absolutely obsessed with those fairy figures and like Amy Brown fairies and Brian Froud and stuff when I was in high school, which was circa 2006. So I'm obsessed with her. It came with a blue 14 count Ada. I've got nothing against Kit Ada, but I wanted, like, her dress is so blue, I wanted a bit of contrast. Like, I just felt like it was blue overload for me. So it's not a drastic change, but I'm going to be stitching this on a 28 count. Oh no. Let me see if I can try to get this to... Okay, this is Kunzite by Fiber on a Whim. It's lavender. It's a lavender color. And I'm trying to, like, I think my wall is probably going to wash it out because it's just such a different color. I'm going to see if I can get it to, like... No. It's really pretty, trust me. But yeah, it's a pretty lavender color. It's a 28 count linen, which I enjoy stitching on linen. I like the hand feel of it. And I'm going to be loading it up on that Q-snap, like, right when I finish this video. I'm really excited about it. Oh, I kind of held these up for a second, but these are the flosses. They came like, unnumbered and stuff, and there was like a guide, like how if you get a Mill Hill and it'll be like dark green, this symbol. And so, but it did have like a floss card, they just weren't numbered. So if there was like 1 or 2 strands, which a lot of them only had like 1 or 2 strands, I just cut out a little section of that floss card and put a number on it. But if it was like a significant chunk of thread, I used one of my floss drops. So I got a little mix of those. It is, you know, mostly these colors. That's her dress. And then just a few of everything else. But I think that's gonna be so beautiful. And then I decided to also start, sorry, crinkling, the stitcher from the Primitive Hair. So I don't know the availability of this. As you can see, Nashville exclusive kit, and that was 2025. I bought it as a kit. It was the chart and the Primitive Hair fabric, and then I also just bought the DMC floss, which it's called for. But I just love, I think I fell in love with like the sepia tone, the shading and the stitches. Here, you can kind of see, that's good, yeah. I just think she's so calming and pretty, I guess. Yeah, I like it a lot. So this is a 30 count old Salem linen, and it's one of the ones that is produced by and sold by Primitive Hair directly. It smells like coffee, so I guess it's coffee dyed. But and then these flosses I think are just so, I don't know, I'm really excited to work with them. They're these like kind of purplish browns, a lot of them, and then some like tans and creams. So I plan to stitch that. I need to fish out my 3rd Q snap. But the one thing there's 2 more things here in my plans section, even though I don't actually plan to start them this month. But, well, maybe. But I got this fabric in like a fabric club, my Bee Stitch Me fabric club, and okay, it's an interesting, the sun is, I have skylights and the sun is very bright right now and it's washing everything out, so I do not think that this is gonna show at all, but like you can kind of tell there's like some blue gray and then this tan color. The tan color is more pink than it's showing, and I saw it and I kind of thought about this pattern. I don't know, I kind of think it's not quite this light as it looks. I think it could work. So I might just put them together in my stash, or I might think about kitting up, this is the baker's wife. I might think about kitting this up the rest of the way. I have the beads and the silks, I think, but I don't have the DMC for sure. And then I bought this last year, but this is relatable. I've been feeling this way lately, and I want to put this in my office, so I might start this. I'd like to, for these smaller kits, I'd like to get like a 6x6 or like Q-snap. I think this piece of fabric would fit on one of those, but I love this. It's adorable. Okay, so I am and have been for many years a cross stitcher who didn't really do a lot of other crafts. I mean, my whole life I've been crafty, but cross stitch has been like really my exclusive craft for a long time. But a lot of floss tubers also quilt. And so several years ago, I got inspired and I wanted to try it out. And I bought a kit, and it was like a beginner, like it was advertised for beginners. And I just, like, there was video tutorials and stuff. I just got very frustrated and like I gave up. I did the first block twice, and I was like, I can't get it exactly the right like measurements, and like I was like, whatever. I just was like, I'm done with this. So I don't really, but recently, there's this podcast I listen to called Ologies, like biology, and they did an episode on quilting, and the perspective of that podcast, like it was like a 2.5 hour podcast. There was a lot of history, a lot of information on the, you know, folk history and the craft of it. And it made me realize that while, you know, at an advanced level, you can be more and more, like you can scrutinize your work more and more the more advanced you become. Sorry for the interruption. I looked down, I have a tote bag of books here, and I looked down and there was a giant spider in there crawling towards me. So, anyways, where was I? I think I was rambling about crafting. The point is, I tried to quilt in like 2021. And I got very frustrated because the videos I had been watching and stuff, and I mean, half of it's me. You know, I just felt that I needed to be perfect. And what is perfection in a fiber craft? Honestly. Anyways, so this podcast really inspired me to take more of a folk craft perspective and to not be a perfectionist about it. I really like working with fibers and fabrics, and like one of the things about cross stitch that makes me keep coming back is that I like the hand feel of all these things. I like to deal with these materials. So I got inspired and I just said, okay, I'm going to start with pre-cuts and then we can see from there. Cause like I kept getting frustrated because I felt like my cuts were off. So I found a tutorial for like a layer cake. Easy beginner. All you did was cut like half of the blocks into 4 and then cut the rest down by 1/2 inch. So I did that, but all I did was I bought a layer cake. I didn't know how far I was gonna get. I didn't buy a baddie and I didn't buy like anything else. I just said, let's see if I even like piecing this, or even if I even finish cutting it up ever. But it turns out I finished cutting it in like a week, and I pieced it within a week and a half. I had it pieced. I had a lot of fun doing it. And recently I went back and looked at that block that I had just drove me crazy. It's off by like a 1/16 of an inch. But that's how like perfectionist I was being. This time I took like a real type B perspective, and it made it fun. You know, I was like, well, why am I doing this? I'm doing this to have fun. The only reason I do any of this is to have fun. And nobody else is here with me in this room watching me and looking at my measurements. I don't need to like imagine that somebody is like disappointed in me. Nobody's disappointed in me. I'm only doing this for fun. And I don't know if maybe you don't relate to that, but I have in the past had a hard time picking things up because I wasn't good at it immediately. And so I kept keeping in mind, I wasn't even good at cross stitch immediately. I mean, I have my original projects and I think they're so cute, but my X's don't go in the same way. I wasn't railroading my stitches, so some of my flosses are twisted. the back is a nightmare. I didn't know how to frame. Like the way my first couple are framed are like kind of, I cut them down to the size of the frame. So they're just like flat in there. They're not laced. Even my first time lacing something, it was a little whack. You know, you're not perfect when you start something. You start it because you want to have, I mean, at the end of the day, these are crafts. I don't need them. I don't need this quilt to stay warm. So that, I mean, that is different. I'm doing it because I want to. And even if I was making it to stay warm, it would do that. Even if my points weren't lined up, you know. So that's what I tried to keep in mind. I kept keeping in mind, like, well, if not all your seams line up, what's going to happen? And I'm like, well, as long as they are close enough to where the quilt top can be quilted and bound, then you get a quilt. At the end of the day, what are you left with? You're left with a quilt. So that's how I've been looking at it, and I still am, because it's still a work in progress. But just in case you weren't really interested, I didn't put it in my regular whips. But this was really, I'll kind of show it to you while I talk, because it's harder to show than a cross stitch, huh? This was a layer cake, so it's one line of fabric called like Pamelia's Path, I think. I got it on Fat Quarter Shop. It is currently pinned because I am hand quilting it. But this has been really good for me, I think, because I was having a really hard time. Like, one of the reasons I don't have a ton of stitching and a ton of progress on those things I have worked on is because my workplace has been quite unstable for a while now. Like, not my employment status, but just like the overall functionality of the workplace. The work I do supports the government, and I think if you work in that kind of a community, then you will have seen similar destabilization in your office or your workplace. This around March, I think we thought it was like settling down and things were kind of finding the new rhythm, right? The new normal. And then around April, like a second wave came and just really disrupted our flow. So I think I'm finally kind of getting into a new rhythm, but every single one of these disruptions comes with more responsibility and more tasks for everybody who's left. And I've been stressed. I mean, I've been stressed to the point where like I can't do anything. Like, and my partner was kind of like worried about me and said like, you need to try something else. Like, you need to mix it up. Cause I was like upset. I was like, I don't even want to stitch. Like and that's like the thing I usually do to like feel better. He said, you know, you need to try something else, mix it up. And I'd been thinking about that podcast for like a month. And so I said, you know what, let's just try and take it really slow. And that's what I did. Like, I wasn't trying to speed through anything. I took it real slow. I didn't even cut out all the blocks in the same day. Like, I did it over like 3 different days. Piecing took a few different days. Like, this video was good for a beginner, but it's like advertised as like, make a quilt in a day. And I think if you're a proficient quilter, you can make it in a day. But if it's your first quilt, I probably wouldn't recommend doing that unless you're just have the energy for it. I guess I didn't. But just introducing something new to my mind helped me to kind of like get out of this trapped feeling that I've been struggling with for over a year. And dealing with new textiles, like new fibers, new fabrics, that's really calming to me. Like, when I was a kid, we would go around Walmart and I would have to touch like all the like clothes. If I saw a texture of clothes that I liked, or if we went through the fabric section, I would like touch everything, or the yarns, I would like go and squish them. And like I've just always been a really tactile person. And so as I said, if I remember, I'll put in a picture of what the whole quilt top looked like when I finished it before I did the quilt sandwich, because it kind of looks a little hectic right now with the quilt sandwich. Speaking of that though, I'm going to try to hold it up a little more so you can see the color scheme of these fabrics. And then I think it'll look nice in this room. Honestly, the fabrics were like a little brighter. I kind of thought they were a little more earthy. I don't know, when I saw it online, but I like it. I think it'll look nice in here. And whether or not it's a good quilt, it will be a quilt at the end of the day. But the back is a thrifted bed sheet because I mean, why not? Because I got it. That's why. And it's this blue color, so I think it coordinates well with the front. There's these blues in it. And I am hand quilting this. I have some more planned because I had a good time piecing, so I'd like to start another piecing project while I'm still quilting this one. But this one I'm hand quilting. I'm using a 12 weight, which is like if you've used Selkie thread to cross stitch with. It's an Aurifil. It's 100% cotton. Everything is 100% cotton. So all the fabrics, the sheet, I made sure I found a sheet where the tag was still on it and I could verify the fiber. The thread I pieced with, and the batting. They're all 100% cotton, which I really like cotton. Like when I go thrifting, I usually, like one of the things I identify, like, you know, I'm going through the clothes, I find a piece I like. The first thing I do is look at the fiber content because I just really don't like a lot of synthetic fibers, and cotton's my favorite fiber. And I like how it ages. So I went with the pinning method for basting because I don't like the idea of glue on my quilt. I don't really want to use, like, I also didn't starch or anything. I really want to use like aerosols in my fiber crafts. I don't know, maybe one day I'll change my mind, but and speaking of my seams, honestly, for my first quilt, I think the number of seams that match is pretty good. They don't all match, but like this one, that's pretty good. The next row up, they're quite a bit off, but I decided not to unpick anything. And I'm also, while I'm quilting it, like hand quilting it, I'm also not unpicking anything. I'll show you, you saw a little bit of it right there. So the pattern I'm gonna do is on either side of all these seams, and in this block there'll also be 2 seams going in the middle and 2 seams across, and then I think I might also do X's in the blocks, but I don't know yet. I'm kind of gonna see how well I think it's like quilted and if it needs the extra, or maybe I'll do like every other square or something. So my seams are a little wobbly because I'm not marking. But they are getting straighter. I'm just like freehanding it, but they're getting straighter as I go. When I watched tutorials for hand quilting, and they're getting more even, the spaces between them, you know, I can see my first row and it's like the most uneven, which is, I think, understandable. That was kind of one of the things I told myself was like, well, are we going to unpick and perfect, or do we want to just go forward and see the progression of our improvement? And I went for the latter. That's kind of what I want to do. I know I'll get better. I don't have to perfect everything. I'll just get better. The muscle memory I've started building up. I've worked on this like 3 nights, I think, so far, and for the hand quilting. And it's nice because those days when I don't have enough brain after work to like look at a cross stitch pattern and count and like look at a grid and stuff, I can get this out. And so I'm excited to have that. So I'm in no rush to like finish this. I want it as a whip, so that I have that option. And that's another reason like I'm having a good time. So I'll probably spend some of my like quilting time on piecing a new project pretty soon. I actually need to go check the mail because I have some fabric that came in. But yeah, they're not super straight, but they're not bad. I am probably going to get a Hera marker, which is like a little piece of plastic or wood where you can put a crease in your fabric, and use that because I don't want to use a marker. Like I don't want to draw on the fabric. But that would help my line to be straighter. I just haven't yet. I'm using these Bowen needles, quilting betweens. It's a variety of sizes, but I got them on Fat Quarter Shop. I've actually had these for several years. I got them not for quilting. I got them before I had a sewing machine. I was making a project bag by hand, and there was like batting and several layers, so I got these. So I didn't have to buy that, but I did. I also already had, so the setup, this is new. I've had to kind of get used to this. It's a new feeling to have all this accoutrement. But when I'm hand quilting, I have these to grip the needle, to pull them through all those. It makes it way easier on my hands. I tried without them. I already had these. I bought these years ago, and I don't know why, because I didn't know what they were for. But now I do. And then I'm using this leather thimble to push the back of the needle through. So, yeah. But it does feel weird to have these on. It's fun. It's fun. I'm having fun. My next quilt, I'm probably going to try a different quilting technique. I think I'm going to make it a tie quilt, maybe do some embroidery tying on it. And then I might try some machine quilting eventually too. I didn't really want to mess with that. I don't have a lot of like clearance behind my machine. So I would probably have to like move it to the kitchen table or something to do that, which is doable if it's something I want to do. But I might just do a small like wall hanging or like table runner or something to see if I like machine quilting. Anyhow, that's my quilt. That's my first quilt. Oh, my dog Wolfgang, anytime that I get this out to quilt, he wants to sit on it, because what I usually do, I sit on the couch and then put a blanket in my lap, and then he sits on the blanket, and so he thinks it's a blanket for him. And so I've been having to figure out, if I put a blanket in my lap, put him on it, and then put this over him, he likes it. He falls asleep. So I was worried. I was like, how am I going to work on this? But it's working out. Okay. To end things off, I do have a few pieces of collection development. One cross stitch thing, which is this pattern that I got, or it's a kit. I got it on eBay, and it's like 2002. Yeah, 2002. It's called Mouser. Look at that little mouse over there. I also want to put this in my office at work, so I gotta get cracking. Then I have some other thrifted fabrics. I found this one, which I thought was sweet for a project bag. I don't think I have any Christmas project bags. And it was $3. I like angels. Also $3. Just this nice, got little tiny flowers on it. I thought that would be good for something. And then I found these. These like stocking forms. So I thought that was really cool. The other side, I think. I actually don't know if this is the other side or if they're shaped the same. Are they positioned the same way? I think they are. So that's not the other side. Whatever. I liked it. It was like folksy, I don't know, kind of nostalgic for me. I grew up in the 90s. I feel like this was the folk art of the 90s. And then the last thrifted fabric is I got this flannel sheet. I want to make a Christmas quilt and I would like to back it with flannel. So, yeah, did that. That was $5. I don't know why I'm telling you the prices of these. I don't usually do that. I don't know. I got a bargain. Those were different thrifting trips, but recent. And then the last thing I wanted to show you, it was in May, it was indie bookshop day, and one of my indie bookshops in town was having a, like if you spent a certain amount of money, you got a free tote bag. It is a very nice tote bag. I mean, it's a good excuse to spend money. It's got like a zipper. I didn't expect it to be this nice for a free tote bag, but it is very nice. And so I just wanted to show you what I got. I don't know. Got a pair of socks. I found a 25th anniversary edition of Nana. I actually haven't read this before, but it's definitely in my, it's like, if you like this, then you'll like this books that I see all the time. And I wanted it, and they happened to have this cool edition. So went ahead and bought that. It was also like National Poetry Month, so they had a poetry display, and they had this, The Girl Who Became a Rabbit. I was drawn to the cover, and I read a bit of it, and I really enjoyed it. I started reading it when I bought the day I bought it, but I haven't actually finished it, so I need to pick that back up. And then I got, this might not be everything I got, but that's okay. I got, so the bookshop that I went to, the indie shop, they kind of cater to the romantic-y community, and that's not like my primary genre, but when in Rome, and so I got this, A Tale of Mirth and Magic, that I had heard about from some people I follow, I think. So that'll be, I mean, that would be fun. And then I got these bookmarks. I think this one was locally made. Oh, I got this. Not having a Baja Blast right now. And a croissant bookmark. Maybe that is all I got. I don't know. I know I tried to keep the number of novels to a minimum that day because I have a big backlog of novels right now. But we also went to a comic book shop that day, and I got the next book in 2 series that I've been reading, Paper Curls and Saga. So I didn't have these yet. So that's it. That's all I have today. It's been a wild one. It's like this last week, or not week, but like 6 weeks, 2 months has just been pretty increasingly stressful in a lot of ways for people I care about and for myself. And so I think I'm kind of getting back to a routine and back to like being able to enjoy things that are not just survival. But I hope you're also able to find things that bring you joy and aren't just running on empty. But if you are, a reminder that the only constant is change, and that includes when things are bad. That'll change. We're always going forward. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.